So one of the things I'm really proud of about Hazamation is that we have a very strong ethos with recycling assets. And that very quickly became more of a transmedia approach. Transmedia really means you build once and reuse as many times. Moontopia is a good example because Moontopia was originally an animated series we were developing all in Unreal Engine 5. We then parked it for a while because we were so busy with other projects. And then when Unreal Engine and Fortnite came together to create UEFN, we took all of the assets we had built from Moontopia and migrated that into UEFN, into the Fortnite ecosystem. And all of a sudden, we are up and running within 72 hours. We had a game on the Fortnite server with all of our Moontopia assets. So to make a game like Moontopia would have taken a team of like 15 to 20 people a few years ago. Once I had something up and running, I was able to share that with my team. And how I pitched it to my team was literally, hey, here's an island code. Have a play. And they played it and like, wow, this is pretty dope. Like, what is this? I'm like, this could be the next project we work on if you're up for it. And of course, they're like, yeah, we're up for it. From a creator point of view, it's enabled me to create something very quickly, experiment, but also pitch it to my team to onboard them very quickly because they're able to see and feel the game, and then for them to get excited about it. And I think that has changed massively because back in the day, you'd have to do massive pitch decks. You had to do this whole presentation, do a concept video. Whereas with UEFN, I literally just white boxed the level with the assets from an animated project where we're working on, and we kind of like just put it aside. We're able to kind of like rebirth that project and bring it into a new medium, a new format, which I actually think is the best format for a project like Moontopia. When we built Moontopia, we actually use a bunch of other tools to build the asset. So we use Maxon Cinema 4D to do all of our asset builds. We use Substance to do all of our texturing and shader work. Of course, we use the usual suspects, Photoshop, to create additional textures. And we use Reallusion iClone a lot. So those are kind of the external tools. But the great thing is they all plug into the Unreal Engine. And then once it goes into the Unreal world, it stays there. And if you're a filmmaker, you can generate frames to make a movie. If you're a game developer, you can put it into Fortnite and get the world to play your game on any console. Once you've got the game made, the other hard job of game development, which not a lot of people talk about, is releasing the game, right? And play testing it, bug fixing it, putting all these additional features in there, balancing the gameplay, making sure the mechanics all work. Then you've got to go and create social media content. The thing about UEFN and games like Moontopia is they're free to play, meaning that as a game developer, we rely a lot on the user base, the player retention. And that is usually something we log into the creator portal and we check the graph, what we call the metrics. And we can see there's a certain spike at a certain time of the week. We're like, oh, Thursday, 6 p.m., we get a massive spike. Okay, so we're going to put a lot of content out there. We're going to make sure the next version or the next iteration of the game, because we iterate the game constantly, right? We make sure that we release it at 5 p.m. so at 6 p.m. that spike stays consistent. The thing about when you're making a free-to-play game like Moontopia is you release the first version, and that's like kind of version 1.0, and you release that and you see what the audience is doing, right? You see what they're doing, the players are doing, the things that work, the things that don't work, the things that people are moaning about, they wish could be better. We take a note of all of that. We have to keep up with UEFN. UEFN is still beta. It's growing as developers grow. So one of the new features was the save progress. So now, this was last week, we updated it. And now when a player gets to a certain checkpoint and you die, it respawns you to that checkpoint. Whereas before it would start the game from the beginning, which is a little bit frustrating when you're up against a time-based type mission like Moontopia. So again, that's a new feature, and there are brand new other features as well that are coming out, like additional performance boosters, more devices, and those are things that are constantly being updated in Fortnite by Epic. And as a developer, we got to ensure that our game is up to date with the latest features of UEFN. So that keeps us busy constantly. One of the main reasons we got excited with UEFN is the fact that the learning curve, there is no learning curve. It's Unreal Engine. With tools like UEFN, that's democratized how game development are being made. Tools like Unreal Engine democratize the way animation content or anything utilizing real time can be made. I'm actually really excited about seeing the next generation of content creators. Like, there could be a 14-year-old out there that wants to make a game. They've played games all their life, they want to make a game. They can do that now. They can just download UEFN. They could share their game to their peers, to their friends at college, or their family members, because it's so easy to be able to get someone to play your game. Whereas back in the day, when you make a game, someone had to have that software installed. They had to have a specific hardware installed. So I think UEFN is going to open the doors massively. And I think if I was to go back to my 14-year-old self today, and I had things like UEFN, I'll be creating tons of demos out there. Creating a game in UEFN means you have to optimize the hell out of it. And what I mean is, first off, your game can only be 400 megabytes. That's right, 400 megabytes. There are Photoshop files bigger than that, okay? And that includes everything, the code, the graphics, the cinematics, if you've got any, like we did, sound, everything has to be compiled in 400 megabytes. Now, the reason for that is it is a game on a free-to-play platform. Now, in order to get your game in 400 megabytes, you have to go back to how games were made back in the day. And that is several things. First, optimize your texture size. You do not need a 4K texture on a Fortnite game, believe me. So we end up downsizing some from 2K down to like 1K. We did some tiling. Again, you don't really see a lot of that on the next-gen games, because the next-gen games, you can just put whatever you want. But on Fortnite, you have to think you're making a game back in the day, but with today's visual fidelity that the audience expect. To test your game, you can't just press play it and play the game. No. You have to upload it onto a private server in order to play test your game. So imagine this, I'm on my laptop, I'm working away, I've built this amazing environment, which is the Moontopia environment. I'm like, this is great. My guys have done some great lighting work. The other guys have done some animation work. We've done some code. I'm like, right, I want to play it. I have to upload it. Now to upload it, UEFN does what you call a memory calculation. It calculates your entire level to make sure it will fit within that 400 meg. To make sure your textures are all sensibly labeled and correct format, no funny code or blueprints and so on. Once that all passes, then you can play test your game. So to me, that level of restriction, as frustrating as it may be, I think will build the next generation of game developers to be much more optimized, because it certainly allowed us to be much more optimized.